All right, the meeting's being recorded. My name's Art Berger. I'm a tech writer at Solo. I'll be hosting the meeting for this week. I posted the agenda in the chat. Let me go ahead and share my screen as well. And let's see. Here we go. We'll go ahead and get started. If you're an attendee, I'll try to write down your name. Also, feel free to add yourself. Do we have any new members who have not joined a kgateway call or haven't been on in a while and just want to say hello and introduce yourself? I'll pause for a minute.
So I'm Lahiru D. Silva and I'm from Colombo, Sri Lanka. So currently I'm doing the Linux Foundation mentorship under Tim and Omar. So like I'm doing the fault injection support for kgateway mentorship. So it's really great to be here and I'm excited to contribute to kgateway.
That's awesome. Thanks for joining us today and looking forward to working with you as part of the community throughout your mentorship. Anyone else? All right, we'll move on to reviewing any action items from the previous meeting. So I actually had one that was about the kgateway landing page. And so if we go to this, previously it had a bunch of Agent Gateway AI related content. So most of that has been removed. There's still one kind of like pointer to Agent Gateway here, but otherwise the other tiles are more Envoy based use cases. And then throughout the rest of the landing page, just some of the AI stuff has been removed. Like we used to have a bunch of providers and such down here. So yeah, that follow-up is done. Anyone have any comments or questions on that before we move on? All right. There was an action item that Danian had last meeting, which was just to open an issue to track some Nginx migration related work, which there is an issue here in the follow-up. If anyone was curious about that, you could take a look and subscribe. And then there was one more thing in the action items from last time, which was a topic from you, Omar, about the global gateway attachment of policies. I'm not sure if that's something you want to bring up again now, or maybe we don't have any follow-up.
I didn't get to it yet, and we have some people missing, so
yeah,
next time, hopefully. I can't believe it's been 2 weeks, actually.
I know. It is crazy how time flies. Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Anything from 2 weeks ago that I might have missed that anyone wants to bring up before we move on? Alrighty, let's go on to new topics for the meeting. Right now, I see that there's just one on the agenda. However, if you just joined and you want to add something, feel free to do so. Also, if you're so moved and you just want to unmute and bring up something after we're done talking about this first one, you're also welcome to do that as well. Otherwise, I will turn it over to Omar. It looks like you have the fault injection design and maybe related to Lahiru, who
is
working on the mentorship. So
yes, so our mentee Lahiru has been doing a good job implementing various features and getting familiar with our code base. And his project is for fault injection, so that's one of the things he's going to be working on. And he has a design doc that we want to go over. I don't know if you want to present it or you want to share it. Maybe it's better if you present, Lahiru.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so let me share the link here so you can go and you can open the doc yourself. So, yeah. I hope you can access the link, right?
I was able to open it. Yes, thank you. And I also see your screen.
Okay. Yeah, so the idea is to extend the traffic policy CRD with fault injection support. So currently, kgateway has this traffic policy CRD where users use the traffic policy CRD to configure different policies like cost, rate limiting, likewise. And with this design, what we are proposing is to extend the traffic policy CRD further and introduce a new field for the fault injection feature. So the rationale behind that is like traffic policy already handles the per route and per gateway traffic manipulation use cases, and also like it has this like the default merge and all the status reporting implementation already there, and also the users are already familiar with the traffic policy. So so that's why we have chosen this path. And I will explain the API design that we are planning to implement. So in the traffic policy spec, they are like we are planning to introduce a new field called fault injection, and this is the shape of the new API. So basically, the fault injection field will like it will contain all the like not all the fields, but it will contain some subset of the supported faults in the Envoy fault injection filter. So basically, in the initial phase, we plan to have delays, aborts, and also response rate limits, and also this max active fault. So like initially we will have these 4 fields, and other than that we will have this disable field. So this is coming from the kgateway traffic like kgateway plugin implementation. So in the kgateway plugin implementation, like you can have this disable field, and then you can apply some policy targeting the gateway, and then you can selectively disable the policy for a given route. So basically, yeah, so this is the initial API that we are planning to implement. Yeah, so like these are the fields that are like in each of the fault injection filters. So like for if you take like fault abort, like you can have different status, and you can have a percentage. So like all these fields are coming from the Envoy proxy fault injection filter. And yeah, like in the implementation, what we are planning to have is like in the HTTP, like in the Envoy listener level, we will have this HTTP fault injection filter, but like it won't have any faults configured at the listener level. And per each route, we will have this per filter config, and per each route we will configure the faults, like we will configure delays, aborts. So that is the implementation behind the API. So like I think implementation wise, like it is kind of very straightforward. And yeah, so I have also listed some of the user facing YAMLs here. So this is a sample YAML for the scenario where like we can inject a 500 millisecond delay on 50% of request to a specific HTTP route. So like similar to the traffic policy, we have the target ref here, and so this new field will be used to inject faults, and in that like we can specify delay, and like we can have a fixed delay of 500 milliseconds for a percentage of 50% request. So these are like some of the other samples, like you can inject delays, aborts, or like you can have a combination, like you can have a delay and also you can have a abort. So like all these fields are supported by the on proxy HTTP fault injection filter. And yeah, so like you can simulate response rate limit, and also like it is also supported by the on proxy filter. So like you can have this like you can configure some response rate limit, and you can configure something like a kilobits per second, and like likewise you can configure the response rate limiting. So that is about the basic implementation, and the so like I explained the API design and also like the implementation in a very high level. Do you have any question? Do you have any questions or any concerns before I go to the next section? So like the next section is about like having conditional fault injection and also like configuring dynamic fault injection, and like that is kind of an improvement that we are planning to do. So if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer. Yeah. Okay,
So
cool.
Yeah, looks good to me so far.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so this next section is about conditional fault injection. So in the previous section, when we configure the fault injection via the traffic policy, the fault will be injected always. So like we don't have any control over it. And with this conditional fault injection support, we can have some control over the fault injection behavior. For example, like in the HTTP route, we can have this header-based routing, and then we can specify this some kind of a header, like for example, X fault test, and we can attach this traffic policy to this route. So with this scenario, like we can have a default route without the header, and also like we can have this specific route with the header. So like when we use the X fault test header in the request, it will conditionally inject the fault. So that kind of a scenario is possible with this implementation. So like this is useful for some ad hoc testing scenarios where you want to like dynamically enable fault injections to some routes, and then like you can inject different faults, and then like you can test the fault resiliency behavior in the downstream clients. So this is useful for such scenarios. And as a future extension, like we are planning to have this dynamic fault value. So that means so in the previous example, like in this one also, like we have to specify the the fault values in the traffic policy itself, because like for example, for abort, like for injecting a abort, we have to specify the HTTP status code, and also we have to specify the percentage. But like there can be some ad hoc scenarios where we have to provide the fault injection value dynamically. So for those scenarios, on-web proxy supports these it supports several fields. So when we include these HTTP field, like HTTP headers in the request, then it will dynamically use those values included in the request. For that, the initial API that we propose can be extended using this header control value. So in this scenario, in the fault injection, like in the traffic policy, we can have this additional header controlled value as true. And I think maybe for the default scenario, like we can decide on that. So maybe the default scenario will be false, and then we can have this header controlled value true. And when the header control value is true, it will honor the honor proxy request headers, and it will override the configured values. So that kind of a dynamic behavior is possible with this design. And so like for the initial implementation, like I'm not sure whether we would need this dynamic control feature. So like that's why I have added it as a future enhancement. But implementation wise, like there's nothing that we need to do. So like it will be automatically handled by the on proxy HTTP fault injection filter. So yeah. And yeah, so like these are the alternatives that I have considered. So
Before we move on to the alternatives, I just wanted to confirm this optional. Are you looking for feedback on this meeting right now, like from the community as to whether we think you should implement this header controlled, or are you just kind of letting us know that this is a follow-on issue or something that you plan to make?
yeah, so like if we can have some inputs, then I think we can decide whether to implement this, or like whether we can consider this as a future improvement. So implementation wise, like there's nothing much we need to do. So it's about the API. So like in the API, we will have a new field.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Yeah.
I think in this scenario, Art, it's just part of the LFX process, right? Just kind of getting awareness. I agree with the feature extension here too. Like if we have user demand, then we can implement it now, but certainly doing that as a follow-on or exploring that later sounds good to me.
Yeah, that also makes sense to me. I was wondering, I put in the agenda, is this this fault injection, is that related to this issue, which is 11,188?
Yes, technically it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't think like that issue, for example, mentions this need for customizing the header control. So I think that totally makes sense to have it as something that we could just document as a possibility if people want, but if there's not demand for it now. I just wanted to confirm if you were looking for that input now. So
Thanks. Yeah,
So-
we'll probably need to groom the issues a bit better, but yeah.
So I think I'm good on this proposal personally. What are you thinking for next steps? Do you need anything from me and Omar?
Yeah, so I think the next like I can start implementing if if the API design is finalized. I mean, if we can agree on this API, so like then we can then I can start the implementation, and then yeah. So this is the API that I'm proposing. So like simply like this will have this fault injection field, and this is optional. And so this is the shape of that fault injection field. So like it will contain the delay, abort, response rate limit, and max active faults. Also there's this other thing, I think also in the agenda also, like there was this discussion about like global gateway attachment of policies, right? So I think for this one also it is relevant because we are using the traffic policy, and in the traffic policy for the target ref you can have a gateway, like you can have a listener set, or like you can have a HTTP route. So I think that discussion also like we need to think about that behavior. For example, let's say like I have some traffic policy with fault injection configured, and the target ref is a gateway, and like do I need some support where like I think we need to have the target ref for HTTP route as well, because I think the major scenario, like in majority of use cases, people will configure fault injection for a given HTTP route, not for a gateway, right?
Yeah, I agree. I don't really even know the use case for gateway wide unless somebody has something in mind.
Right. Yeah.
I think we focus on the route,
Yeah.
especially the start. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess there's nothing preventing you from doing it, and therefore you have that disabled field, which would provide value here in terms of configuring opt-outs. But I'm just not really aware of any use cases where I would want to configure listener-wide or gateway-wide fault injection that propagates down the rest of the routing hierarchy.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So implementation is also like we can support, like I think initially like we can support the gateway and the HTTP route, and I think so like since we are using the traffic policy, the like we can use the default merge behavior, right? So like let's say
Yep.
someone has configured the fault injection for a gateway, and then someone wants to override. So in that case, I I don't think we need to do any other extra implementation, and we can reuse the default merge.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think that's right. Yeah, I think it looks good. I think we can get started on implementation. If people have any feedback,
Yeah.
we'll welcome to hear it at some point. But yeah, this is a great design doc, clearly laid out. So thank you for that, Lahiro.
So yeah, so that's all from me. So like I will briefly like explain like these are like some of the alternative design I considered. So like having a standalone fault injection policy CRD. So like I think this is a big no, because like so the usual way is like you have a traffic policy and like all the fields are there. So like this is going against the current architecture of kgateway. So that's why I have discarded it. And so also like alternative two is like to support all the fields that are supported in the on proxy fault injection filter. So like there are some other fields that are not widely used, and like those are like for very advanced use cases. So like I thought like I wanted to like have the initial API very simple and user friendly. So like instead so that's why I considered a subset of the fields in the on proxy HTTP filter. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Envoy
I
has
think
a
that's
million
what
options. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I think that's what John calls envoyism too. Kind of propagating direct Envoy APIs into your own API service. So sounds good to me for sure.
Yeah, thanks so much for presenting.
Thank you.
All right, I will continue sharing my screen back to the agenda doc. There's no other new topic. We still have a couple minutes. Does anyone have anything else that you want to bring up?
I just had a quick question so is 1.5 support back in Maine? Do we have like a 2.3 release coming out soon? I'm just playing a little catch up.
Yeah, we have Danian mainly has been working on 1.5 support. I think we merged into main like the first round of it. There's like a few new features we're like adding support for right now. And I think we cut a beta release, or like did we cut an RC or beta? I can't remember. We cut something. We were planning to release 1.5 support soon.
What about
Yeah, beta.
2.3? Is 2.3, I don't know, next month or something? Do we have a rough timeline on that? No is also a fine answer. I'm just curious.
I can't remember what we agreed. Do you know, Andy?
Yeah, most likely before mid-April or probably sooner.
Sweet.
All
Yeah, I
right,
was just curious. That's all I had.
cool. No, always love a release update. Anyone else have anything? All right, the next order of business is to assign a host for the next meeting. So that would be 2 weeks from now, which would be, let me see, that would be April 7th. Do we have any volunteers?
Nominate Omar.
I might be out.
I might also be out, I'll be honest.
Let me see. I think Tim, Josh, Danian, myself, I think we've done it. Is anyone who hasn't done it before?
Oh, Seth is on the call. We got to get Seth posting it.
You trying to pull me in?
Absolutely, man.
I might still be head down on Portal, but I'll see what I can do.
All right, I'll put you down. If you need to change out, just
All
let
right.
us know. Thank you for stepping up to that. And then finally, we like to close the meeting calling out any new community contributions of note since the last time. So we've definitely had some momentum from our LFX mentees. We had, Lahiru present today on fault injection. On the doc side, we had Lhasa has his first PR open not only in the kgateway repo, but also in the Argo rollouts repo, updating some of our integration related content. So that's exciting. Anyone else have any shout outs or anything that you want to share? All right. Well, I think that's all that we have time for today then. Thank you all for your attendance, and we'll convene again in a couple weeks.
Yeah, thanks, Art.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.